Hello everyone and welcome back to another Torchlight Infinite video. So, uh I made a statement. I won't say a promise, but I made a statement that if and when I ever reach a trillion DPS on this build, I was going to make another update. And well, we kind of overachieved that goal after finally being able to craft the pieces that I was aiming for a while already. So, let's go over what changed. We had the Fiend Crown here. I finally managed to hit the helmet that I've been wanting to hit. So I got the T1 Seal Mana and the T1 Intelligence. Then I started doing the Dreamcraft. As you can see, I did the Dreamcraft 5 times before hitting the mod that I actually wanted, which was Elemental Shock. And it's a very high level. This can be from like level 1 to level 30, and I hit a level 28, so that is very lucky. And I just got a downgrade from this affix to just one tier, which is pretty good. It was a tier 1, it downgraded to tier 2. It's still 22% crit mitigation, so it's still very good defensively. It has the 2 offensive mods that I wanted, which is intelligence and minion double damage, and I got the sealed mana. So this is a GG helmet, very good. I finally managed to hit the Warden's Breastpin Corrosion, and you know, still a legendary attitude 2 and not a level 100, so it doesn't have the best mods it can possibly have, but it is what it is what you can get at the moment. Then I crafted this ring. This was the other project I was aiming for, and I added the Elemental Destruction Curse alongside, so tier 0 minion damage, tier 0 resistance, and this affliction is kind of there. Ideally, since I already have the Breastpin, this will be crit damage, and then just a hybrid res here, and maybe curse effect here, because I want to have a curse here. I got an upgrade in the staff as well. So 6 beams, as pretty much is the consensus right now for everyone that's playing this build. 6 beams is the best mod that you can have in the weapon. It's kind of mandatory. Then the elemental penetration, I managed to hit that, so that's why I kept it there. If I were to pick my dream staff, it will have this mod, the additional damage for spell damage, and tier 1 or tier 0 intelligence instead of LE pen. But LE pen is not bad actually. It's still a very strong damage multiplier. Of course, I have the another additional damage multiplier from spell damage. Then I have the tier 0 spell burst, spell crit rating. This is base crit, and chance to deal double damage. And because this is base crit, it's basically double dipping with the breastpin, because the minions get it through isomorphic arms, and then I give it to them again through the warden's breastpin. So anything you can get here regarding crit rate, or crit damage will be good. But I think double damage is what you want to slam at the end. And I did a Dreamcraft, which upgraded this affix by 3 tiers, actually, which is a very high roll. So it upgraded this one and this one. I think this one was like originally tier 2, and this was original like tier 2 or tier 3. So it gave me everything tier 1 staff. Pretty good. And another thing that I did is I've been toying around addition of elemental resistance penetration, and I switched this for the other one that I was using here, which only basically had the +1 minion spell skill level and some, additional minion damage here and stuff. I added this 6% mod through, it's just RNG, and I started with a spell skill level and the minion attack and cast speed, and this seemed to give me a slightly higher damage figure than not having this elemental penetration here. So maybe it's better than I think. Maybe it's one of those things that the more you get, the better it gets. I don't know. It could be. The other ones remain the same. And this space, it's still to be filled. Which, by the way, I'm farming for that at the moment. And if it doesn't take me like an eternity to farm all of the cards, then I'll probably do a video on the setup that I'm using. But I'm halfway through one immolating flame. So a cocoon flame is 1/20th of an immolating flame, and an immolating flame is 1/20th of a prairie. So I need to farm 20 times 20. I need to farm 400 of these cards. I have 11, so it's gonna take a while, but we get there when we get there. The other thing, and I'll have to apologize to anyone that bought Wind Rhythm when I had lower DPS. Wind Rhythm gave me basically more or less the same DPS than Activation Minion does, with a 42% additional multiplier, which in hindsight doesn't make sense, but it did at the moment when I was at like 200, 300 billion. But now so minion is just like double. I'll show you. I'm actually selling Wind Rhythm now, and if you're playing this build, if you haven't bought Wind Rhythm yet, don't do it. It's extremely expensive, and it's not really worth it. So it's the same setup that I used to kill the boss, and this is with Wind Rhythm. You can see barely even reaching a billion. Well, 8 trillion actually. Around 600 billion. And I'll switch back to minion and probably restart the zone. Actually, this is not the same setup as the showcase, because I added I added this that doesn't really do anything. But I'll leave it be, even though. And this is with minion. See, much more consistent. 1 trillion. So that was. It's very difficult to gauge what is going on here. What we think, what we've been discussing in the chat is that you need to hit a certain cooldown breakpoint. Either the skill has to be a certain cooldown breakpoint, or the ability itself has to reach that cooldown to synchronize with the skill trigger, because it might be that the skill is triggering, but the ability still hasn't reached the cooldown, so it's missing triggers. You know, something like, if you've played like Custom Creating Path of Exile, you will know what I'm talking about. Like, you're desyncing with the server ticks, which means you're dealing less damage. Not quite server ticks, because we're not doing like milliseconds of casts, but we're getting, well, kind of, right? Because it's like 0.3. It depends on the server ticks, but if you can get to like 0.1 here, and actually get that cooldown, I think it's worth it. But that would mean you have to spend like 20,000 on a wind rhythm that is double T0. And even then, I'm not sure it's gonna work that way. So for now, I'll advise against wind rhythm. I'll advise for automation minion, simply because it's the highest multiplier there is. There is nothing higher that you can put here. 42% on a perfect roll, and it's not as expensive as the other one, as far as I remember. So I will not even check the market, because, you know, things might change. But if you can afford it, just get it. If you can't afford a 42, like, take a look at spell concentration. This is 36 with you know, with off the beaten track and all of the things. If you can't get higher than 36, just use another support. Elemental fusion is amazing, although we've been playing around shock, and shock seems to add a decent chunk of damage. So high voltage might be the play here. I haven't tried stuff like enhanced ailment, which supposedly should increase shock damage, but, you know, we don't know. There might be a place for like added lightning, and, you know, again, if you have like insanely high crit rating, you can use control spell. But either way, just try a bunch of stuff here. Again, with the supports, it's kind of hard to tell, because, you know, minions sometimes deal 100 billion damage, sometimes deal 130, sometimes deals 95. It's very inconsistent testing the damage against dummy with the minions. So you have to go by, you know, by feeling. At the moment, I don't really worry too much about it. This seems good to me. This seems to work the best for me. I could try to get a +1 and get rid of my Nanical army, but I, more often than not, are at 60 command, 40 to 60 command, which means I'm getting almost full benefit of this support in terms of damage. So it's not terrible for me. One of the other things that, getting back to the upgrades, then again, getting level 21 and precise stuff here is gonna be significant. But anyway, I think that's all I have for this for this build. Updates. I'm gonna be changing this one. I'm gonna get rid of this version. Or maybe I'll keep it. Yeah, because this is the first one which introduces int stacking. And, you know, gear here is not insane, so people will not be... Oh, I already have that ring by that time. Oh, but I didn't have. Oh, I remember something else. Um, I I managed to hit this with the familiar nexus. So I had, I think, yeah, I had these two modes, the flat life and percentage life. Both of them were tier two. No, I think, yeah, both of them were tier two. I managed to upgrade them both to tier one, then upgrade Mike's life to tier zero. This was a legendary attitude 4, but it took down one legendary attitude, and then I just spam until I hit the tier zero movement speed because I really wanted 60% movement speed or close to 60%. And then I hit it with the familiar nexus, and I finally hit a double corrosion. So this is a GG boot. The only thing that could get better here is getting like deflection or extra armor here. But yeah, that's another one of the upgrades. So I'm gonna add a new version where there is no wind rhythm, and I'll leave the note there in the comments as well that wind rhythm is kind of a bait from my part, and sorry to anyone that has bought it in the expensive stage that it is right now. However, if you bought it before it got expensive, then you actually got an investment from me and you owe me thanks. Because when I bought it, it was like 600, and now they are going for like 1,500, or almost close to 2,000 FE. So you're welcome, I guess. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Thank you everyone who has been following the builds. At this point, I think any there is a clearer template to follow. Some things are difficult to obtain, while some others aren't that hard to achieve. So there is a relatively clear path to getting to a high level with this character. So I've spent, I don't know, 20,000 FE, but if you're starting now, you probably have to spend like a quarter of that to get to this point. So good luck if you're gonna try this build. And if you do, let me know how it turns out. Thank you and see you next time.